Hi there, I'm Bruce with Trick Tools. Today we're going to show the unboxing and assembly of the Grit GI150 centerless grinding machine. This machine comes in a few different components, so there's a little bit to putting it together and a little bit to learn about setting up the machine to use it properly. So we're going to get through this and show you all how to do it in the most efficient way possible. Let's get to work. We've got the base of the machine here. It's got an adjustable base. It's kind of interesting, so you can get it tilt the angle of the grinder head actually. And you can use this grinder actually just as a belt grinder itself, or you can add the centerless grinding module onto it, or you can add the notching module onto it. So we're gonna get through the centerless grinding part of it today. Here we've got the grinding head itself. And we're going to start by unpacking this grinding head. We're actually going to put it upside down on the floor and then put the base on upside down. Then once it's together, we'll flip it and the machine will be standing up on the base that way. This box here, we've got the actual centerless grinding module. So we'll get all these things out of the boxes on the floor, and then we'll show you how the assembly looks. Okay, so we've got all of our boxes and packaging out of the way. We've got the head of the grinder flipped upside down on a packing blanket to keep the finish protected that way. So what we're going to do here is we're going to bolt the base onto the head, and then we'll be able to flip it over, start attaching all of the small hardware. You can see some of the accessories that came with the grinder here. You got an eye shield, a work rest, a dust collector, and then a nice hardware packet that's labeled and everything. So the tools needed for this job are a straight screwdriver, standard screwdriver, a 13mm wrench, and a 6mm Allen wrench. Should be all you need. Okay, so we're going to start by taking off the belt cover. This door pops off so that we can remove the belt. On the other side of the machine, you'll see this is the belt tensioning arm. And these two Allen bolts here lock the belt tensioning in. That needs to be loosened so that we can get the belt off. Then the whole motor slides forward. It's a 36 grit belt. It's meant to move metal really fast, so that means it'll take the skin off your knuckles equally fast. Okay, now we're going to flip the base upside, and then the base bolts in through here, which is why we had to take that belt off of there. All right, we're getting these base bolts tightened up here. The back ones, you'll want to make sure that the motor is slid forward so you can access those. Gives you a little bit of room to get in there. And once these are tight, we'll be ready to start installing the centerless attachment. So now for the adjustable height base, you can see there's an adjustment slot here. We've got this quick release handle. We're going to put the flat washer on that handle, get that threaded in here. So now there's actually an Allen bolt on the other side. You can see that we can easily change the height of this head now and adjust that. We'll need to do that later when we get our centerless attachment on there, and we can just lock it into place with this quick release knob here. A couple other parts that I've got here on hand is we've got the extension handle. It's got a long bolt. This extension handle just threads into here. This will be for our belt release and tensioning. It's actually got a spring-loaded tension, so tensioning is very simple. It's really just more of a release mechanism for the belt tension. And there's actually a little cover plug to pop in there to finish that off nicely. And then the other part we got here is our eye shield. These knobs are already installed in the machine on this one. So those just fit into this slot here. This actually has a pivot. Once we peel this off of there, you'll be able to adjust the eye shield. These parts we've set off to the side. You won't use these with the centerless grinder, but I'll show you what they're good for. They're actually for use when you're using the GI150 as just a belt grinder, as a standalone belt grinder. So this is your debris bucket. It actually has a port on it. If you use the optional vacuum base, or if you want to hook up your own vacuum system, you can knock the plug out of that and use that for a vacuum catcher there. The Allen bolts go on here, and we've got the little insert here to catch the threads. So this part would just slide onto the front of the machine. You can see it slides over this bolt, and you would have this knob here to make it a kind of a quick release. And when that's installed, there's your work rest for your front contact wheel on your grinding machine, and it can be easily removed then to clean out the bucket. Okay, now we're ready to start attaching the centerless portion of the grinder onto the grinder base itself. We've got a couple of brackets here that get bolted onto the side. We've got our 4 Allen bolts to hold that on. If you're looking at the instructions of the machine, this is a little bit vague in how this looks. So there's 2 different length of brackets here. They go in this orientation. We'll get those attached here. You've got 4 holes here. Okay, and now we've got a bracket here, and we've got another quick release handle with a washer. This attaches right on here, and this will bolt up underneath the grinder. Okay, got a carriage bolt and nut. It'll actually come up underneath like this once we get it held up there. So we'll go ahead and get this slid up against the grinder. So we're going to put this up. This bracket here slides over these 2 attaching brackets that we had put on there previously. The head of this Allen bolt, actually this is a locating hole here, so you'll want to have your grinder head loose so that the height can be adjusted easily, and that fits up snugly there. Now we've got this quick release handle that slides in here. This actually slides into this slot, and what I'm seeing here is that we've got, I think it's just the powder coating maybe on these slots that's holding up the bolt heads from being able to go in there. So this is like a cam lock that goes in and holds this up tight. We're going to have to make a slight adjustment here with a file just to clean up some of this powder coating. Okay, ready to try this again. Slide the attachment up to the head of the machine. Align our locating bolt here. Okay. Then the cam lock lever fits nice and snugly, and that's what holds it in place. So just between the powder coating and a little bit of the stamping sharp edges on these brackets, they just need a little bit of cleanup to make that work. But that's kind of your quick release lever to hold that side of the attachment firmly into place. Then as we go around back to this side, this bracket fits up under the machine with the carriage bolt we showed earlier. We can take a wrench and tighten that down, but this basically locks your attachment to your grinding machine. We've got a couple different guides here that come with the machine. These are the guides that the tube rests on. There's a bronze one to use with most materials, steel, that kind of thing. The Delrin version here can be used for like aluminum or stainless with a little more fine finish. Okay, last couple parts going on here. We've got our small handle and a shoulder bolt. Okay, it's basically adjusting the spring tension on the head. This little stopper here is what holds the distance away, so I can open that up, give myself a little bit of room, and then this guide fits down in here. This is what the tube actually kind of rides on. And this is where all of your adjustment happens when we get ready to put the tube in there. Once we figure out what the OD of the tube is, the distance of this guide to the wheel and the height of this guide, which is adjustable with these two bolts right here, is what kind of sets where your tube fits in between these two grinding wheels as it's all happening. So we'll go more into that in our next video on the adjustment and use of this machine. This is just kind of showing the assembly of it. Okay, so we're basically out of parts. We've got everything on. Now we're gonna get our belt in there and set our belt tension. So here we're using it's actually like a Scotch-Brite belt. It's a surface conditioning belt for putting a nice finish on the tube. Rather stiff when it's new. Slides in there as such. You can see that we've got a top surface here that you can actually use as a grinding surface. Okay, so with these Allen bolts loose, we're going to slide the motor all the way to the back position with that handle down to lock that into place. And then this is what sets your belt tension, and that just locks into place. Now, as you can see on the other side, when I do that, there's a gas shock inside there that's actually doing the tensioning. So all I'm doing is going over center with this lever, and your belt tension is automatically set by the spring in that shock. Ready to put our side cover back on here. Got that secured. And now we've got a couple electrical connections to hook up. So the electrical connector for the centerless grinding, actually this plug will feed through the back here, and we'll hook up to the underneath side, this switch box. Now there's a plug here, it can be a little bit confusing, but it's just a cover, so you pop that off. Snaps into place. Okay, so that's what connects your motor power for your centerless grinder. Now we have the situation here where we've got a German plug that comes on these machines. Person could just take a side cutters and snip this right off, but there's actually a little bit easier way. So see this little black button? There's a little icon on here. You push in with this black button here, and you can rotate the blue part out of the way. Then release your strain relief, and you can pull this apart so that you can quickly take your wires out. That way you don't have to re-strip all your wires. But the thing to remember on European machines like this German machine, question we get frequently, this will be 3-phase power. That's why we have 4 wires. The ground is the green and yellow. So you'll hook your green and yellow wire to ground. You'll hook these other 3 wires to your 3 power legs, and about the only way I know how to do it is check to see if the rotation of the machine is right, and if it's not, change these around until you get it so that the machine's rotating the proper direction. Okay, I think that wraps it up for the electrical and the assembly on this machine. There is an optional cooling unit that attaches on this machine. It doesn't have to be used. It does help keep the dust down and keeps your material cooler. That actually puts liquid on the tube as it's being ground. That unit slides right into this cabinet, and it plugs in, the pump plugs right into this red plug. So if you buy the additional cooling unit, that's real simple to install. Hooks up right there. Okay, well, I think we've got our machine put together here. Check out our next video as we show you the adjustments and use of the machine in action. Thank you.